Hey everyone, Chris here. Thanks a lot for clicking on the Sabbatical Story channel. So today's topic, this money-saving topic, is all about your mode of transportation. Your car, your truck, your SUV, whatever you want to call it. And I'm starting off with your car because this was one of the biggest reasons we were able to take a sabbatical and save enough money to take a sabbatical, was the choices that we made with our cars. Okay, so let's talk about the reasons that we make the decisions that we do about the cars that we buy. Typically, whenever you break it down, there's two sides to how you make a decision about cars. And I'm speaking from experience, of course, too. There's the analytical and logical side of your thinking, and then there's the emotional side. The analytical and logical side is pretty straightforward and pretty obvious, right? It's, I need, these features in a vehicle. The emotional side of purchasing a car is what the car commercials and advertisements and propaganda, that's where they influence us, is on the emotional side of our thinking. So when we have a passive mindset, and if you haven't seen my video on mindset, you should. This will make a lot more sense if you do. When we have a passive mindset, we're very susceptible to making decisions based on outside influences. So you see a car commercial, shiny new car, you think, man, I want that car. So that's how they play to the emotional side of how you make decisions. Here's the problem. Whenever you purchase a car that is at the edge of your budget, or maybe even beyond what we can afford, we do so based upon that emotional impact, that emotional feeling that we have about this purchase. But that big payment that comes with that big, nice, shiny car keeps you on the hamster wheel, otherwise known as a debt slave. And as long as you're a debt slave, you're not going to be able to pay for a sabbatical. And that's why this is so important. That's why I really want to make sure that you understand that this is the biggest reason that we were able to take a sabbatical, was because we absolutely could have purchased a better car than we did a couple of years ago when we bought our Chevy Equinox. And if I had done so, we would be at work today. And if you haven't noticed, I'm at a beautiful lake in the mountains of North Carolina, the Smoky Mountains, on a Thursday. And I would much rather be here than drive an expensive car. So that's what I'm trying to tell you here, is that if you can afford an expensive car, let's just say that you could afford a $50,000 car and finance it over 84 months, or however long you can get a loan for a car out, these days. Instead of doing that, buy a $25,000 car. It's still a nice car, and you could put 25 grand away and take a year off from work. How crazy cool is that? So if you buy the car, you're a debt slave, and the only stories that you'll have to tell are the stories of everything that you did while you were at the office. If you buy a way lesser car and you take the difference between a $50,000 car and a $20,000 car, and you take that and take a year off from work, could you imagine how cool that is? That's why this is so important, to get underneath and understand why it is that we make the decisions that we do. That's why I really hope that you watch my OODA loop video, which is a decision-making process, and the mindset video, which really codifies how your mindset influences the kind of decisions that you make, especially when it comes to big ticket items like houses and cars and things like that. This is the place where you can really make a difference in your life. If you can take all that money in between an expensive car and an inexpensive car and take a year off from work, isn't that better than driving around a nice new car? I guess every one of us has to make that decision, but I'll tell you one thing is for sure, I'm glad I made the decision I did. I could be driving a real nice car right now, and I'd still be at work today. But I'm not. I'm out here. I want this for you. I really do, and that's why I'm making these videos. I'm not asking for anything. I just want you to see these videos so I can change your life. If I can change just one life from these videos and hear a really cool story about somebody's sabbatical and what they did and all the cool stuff they did, that is what makes it all the worthwhile for us. And that's what this is all about. Okay, so when we talk about how we make better decisions about cars, If the goal is to take a sabbatical, for example, and you have a budget for an expensive car, that's great. If you can afford a Mercedes, buy a Subaru. Because what stories are you going to have from buying an expensive car, say 3 years from now? Are you going to be talking about how cool it was that you sat in traffic in a nice car? Or in 3 years from now, are you going to be talking about all the cool things and all the places that you've been on your year off from work? That is profound. That's the difference in making an active decision and with an active mindset and a passive one, buying the car that we see on TV. You know, another thing I'd like to mention too about cars, if you've seen my OODA loop video, part of the OODA loop is being honest with yourself and looking at the brutal truth of a situation. And I'd like to share a brutal truth with you that you may not have ever thought of. When we buy a car, and they're expensive these days, we are buying 100-year-old technology. I mean, we have been driving cars with the same engine, turning the same transmission, burning the same gas for 100 years. We change the interior, give it nav and Bluetooth and new body panels, and we call it brand new and sell it for 10 grand more than the previous model. It is insane, guys. Don't fall for this crap. Don't fall for this stuff. It's just a car, and nobody cares if you drive past in a nice car or in a not so nice car. Nobody cares. You're not doing anything by buying an expensive car except keeping yourself a debt slave. As soon as you can internalize that and look yourself in the mirror and say, I got it, and I'm going to make a different decision and I'm going to break free. That's what this is all about, and that's why I'm so passionate about showing you this stuff, because one decision like that can change everything in your future. Everything. So when we made our last car purchase, it was a Chevy Equinox. It was a 2016 model, and the 2017 models were already on the lot. And we got this thing for more than 20% off a sticker. Less than 20% off a sticker. It was probably close to 22% off when we finally got it. Now for us, in our story, we were going from 2 cars. We were a 2-car family, and we were going to 1. So we needed one vehicle that could carry bikes, carry people, carry gear, and do it reasonably efficiently and be totally reliable. So that's why we decided to get a new car. But we only have 1 car. That was a part of our decision. Is my wife and I, we sat down and we did a hard, brutal truth analysis of how much do we actually need to be in 2 different places at the same time, and do we really need 2 cars? At the end of the day, and after looking at the brutal truth, we discovered that there was a very, very small percentage of time that we actually needed 2 cars, and we decided at that point to trade in 2 cars and get 1. And that was pivotal for us to be able to take a sabbatical. Now, we could have purchased a car twice as expensive. We could have traded in both of our cars and got a Tahoe or a nice new Silverado, and those things cost 50 and 60 grand these days, guys. Don't do that. Don't fall for that stuff. We bought a 2016 model when all the 2017s were out, and we got it for more than 20% off, and we couldn't be happier with our decision. I mean, look, again, it's Thursday and I'm sitting at a lake. Guys, I have stories to tell for my sabbatical because I made this decision, and I want this for you, and that's why I'm doing this. So, all right, so that is my first how to save money tutorial on how to save for a sabbatical. I hope you can watch this video, internalize some of the things that are in it, and really look hard at your current situation and decide what you really want from the next few years of your life. Is it an expensive car, or is it a day at the lake? All right, guys. Well, that's enough for me. Until next time, we'll see you on sabbatical.